your only source for news. 12 News.
DHS is CBS. Welcome home. We all came out to greet you.
Welcome home.
DHS is CBS. When entertainment's made for you. Drop your things and walk right in. You know where it's always been. DHS is CBS. Welcome home.
Good afternoon, I'm Pat Masters. We begin with breaking news. A bank robbery in Cranston leads to a high-speed chase. 3 suspects are now in custody. 12 News reporter Laura Clarizio is live in Cranston where it all got started, and she joins us now with the latest. Laura?
Well, Pat, we were here at the First Bank and Trust on Reservoir and Park Avenue in Cranston. Behind me, you can see there are some police cruisers. I am told that the police are inside. They are questioning some of the workers to see what happened in this robbery. We do know that the chase lasted for about an hour. Here's what happened. Around 10:30 this morning, police say 2 suspects robbed the First National Bank in Cranston on Park and Reservoir. A 3rd person may have been involved. A chase ensued through Cranston and ended about an hour later on the Connecticut-Rhode Island border.
Test recall, all 3 in custody, weapon recovered.
Police say the suspects left with bags of money. Cranston police chased them into Johnston on Atwood Avenue and Plainfield Pike. At one point, the suspects crashed into a Johnston police cruiser.
It was almost like a side swipe on the front of the cruiser.
And the car just kept going.
Just kept going, continuing on Plainfield Pike.
Police say the suspects threw bags of money from their gray car onto Atwood Avenue. Later, police retrieved some of it. Now, we do have exclusive video of the arrest. My colleague Susan Hogan was down on the Rhode Island-Connecticut border, and she was the only reporter down there to get that video. We will bring that to you later on. Pat, back to you.
Laura, what charges are these suspects facing?
Unofficially, I was speaking to one police officer, and he said they could be facing federal charges. They could be facing, of course, armed robbery charges, a hit and run, eluding police, reckless driving, and possibly some more serious other ones. Pat, back to you.
All right, thank you, Laura Clarizio, for that live report from Cranston. And again, as Laura mentioned, we hope to have that exclusive video of the arrest of the suspects for you before the end of this newscast. A North Kingstown family. We'd like to return now to an update on the breaking news we brought you at the top of this newscast. A police chase led to several arrests. 12 News reporter Laura Clarizio is live in Cranston and joins us again now with her colleague Susan Hogan. And Laura, what have you learned? What's new?
Well, we're here at the First Bank and Trust Company, and as you just mentioned, there was a high-speed chase. My colleague Susan Hogan was on the only news crews to capture that on the arrest. What did you see?
It was an incredible scene. I have to tell you, we were on our way to a totally different story when we saw a police cruiser up ahead of us driving at about 20 miles an hour to keep the traffic down very slow, and we had no idea why until all of a sudden behind us sirens were blaring. There had to have been at least 15 cop cars behind us, and then the car that they were chasing couldn't even get around us because we were caught up in the middle of it. And then we followed them, and it finally ended around exit 2 near the Hopkinton area. And if we can take a look at the video, you will see what we came upon at this incredible scene. There is one of the suspects being arrested at this very moment, blood on his face. There is the car that they were actually chasing. It went off the road, and a couple of the police cars as well also went off of the road as well. There's another suspect. There were 3 suspects all together, and take a look at this. They found money actually underneath this guy's shirt. There is their evidence, the evidence that the police needed, and their adrenaline was going so crazy at this point. They were all shaking hands and smiling at this point because they got their men and they got their money as well. 2 guns were found. There is one of them. Another gun was found as well. They did have, again, all 3 suspects. They were able to apprehend them all. It was a crazy scene. You can come back out to us now because the video is just about to end. It was a crazy scene out there, Laura.
We were listening to it on the scanners, and
Right.
we kept hearing the chase is going, and it kept going further south. At that point, we didn't even realize you were down there.
Right.
Unbelievable video.
They were going to call in Connecticut State Police, but they never had to because it ended obviously in the Rhode Island area. And I'll tell you, there were, I don't know how many police, we counted about 40 to 45 police officers, numerous state police, and as well as all of the local police officers as well. They were, again, all congratulating themselves because they got their men and they got their money.
Our news crews actually captured the money being picked up in Johnson, and you can see there were just bags and bags of this. Now, we will obviously have more of the story for you later on in the newscast. Pat, back to you.
All right, thank you, Laura and Susan. Quite a dramatic morning there, and certainly we're glad that nobody was seriously hurt in that chase. And we'll be continuing to bring you more on that story, as Laura mentioned. Meantime, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
A police officer serving time for the murder of his mistress still maintains his innocence.
State police, Warwick police, jurors, prosecutors say you did this. Could all those people be wrong?
Jeffrey Scott Hornoff speaks out for the first time in a 12 News exclusive, Thursday at 6 and 11 on 12 News.
State police, Warwick police, jurors, prosecutors say you did this. Could all those people be wrong?
Jeffrey Scott Hornoff speaks out for the first time in a 12 News exclusive, Thursday at 6 and 11 on 12 News.
It's supposed to be one of the happiest days in a parent's life, the day their baby is born.
But 6 years ago, that day turned tragic when a Cranston couple's baby was kidnapped. For 5 days, there was a massive search for baby Michaela.
So whatever happened to her? Channel 12's Laura Clarizio has her story.
It was hell, just a parent's worst nightmare.
On Friday, April 12, 1991, 10-hour-old Michaela Rose disappears from Women and Infants Hospital. That night, her mother, 19-year-old Patricia Cullen, and father, 18-year-old Keith Rose, made a public plea to the kidnapper.
I understand she wants a baby badly, but she also has to understand that it's our baby and we love her and we want her back.
The couple told police a woman posing as a pregnant nurse claimed the baby may be anemic and needed blood work. Later, police released this composite.
She was about the 5th nurse that I had seen that day. I mean, it didn't seem strange to me at all. I didn't even think twice about it.
To further her legitimacy, she left a beeper behind.
She's like, if my beeper beeps, just, leave it alone. I'll come back and grab it, which gave us a sense that she's gonna be back, and she walked out and just didn't come back.
5 minutes later, a real nurse raised their suspicions when she asked who had the baby.
And she started asking me what she looked like and which way she went and those kinds of questions, and we knew right away. Keith immediately ran out of the room.
I was running down the halls. I went outside. I don't know. It was just crazy.
The days to follow became even crazier. Patricia and Keith became suspects. On Saturday, both failed lie detector tests and were questioned by the FBI.
They were saying, if you guys had Michaela taken and killed, then she should deserve a proper burial.
Sunday, they returned to an empty nursery in their Cranston home.
It was just me and Tricia, and we would talk, and that's when we'd cry, and everything would come out, and those were hard. The nights where you're supposed to be waking up to feed your daughter, changing her diaper, and she's not there, looking at her crib.
But just miles away, Michaela Rose slept in this bassinet at the Hartford Projects in Providence. Only the people who lived there knew her as Rosalie. It would take 3 more days before authorities realized 20-year-old Sol Martinez is the kidnapper. The big break came after Providence detectives traced the beeper she left behind. The trail led them to Martinez's boyfriend in prison and eventually to the Hartford Projects where his family lived.
She wanted to bring a baby home to us and to my brother especially.
5 days after giving birth, Patricia and Keith finally saw their daughter again.
And she was screaming her head off, and I knew when I heard her scream that it was her.
Oh, I was so happy. The best feeling in the world. Even more excited then than when she was born. That's a big feeling.
The couple never married but remained best of friends. Michaela is in kindergarten and now has an understanding of what happened to her.
I got kidnapped from a lady that was dressed up from her like a nurse.
The family credits Providence police for Michaela's safe return, especially Detective Tim O'Brien, who they consider a part of their family.
What would you say to your Uncle Tim about how he helped you.
I love him a lot.
Uncle Tim was really a part of the family now.
She is such
Marisol
a
Martinez
sweetheart.
went to trial, of course, and she was sentenced to 12 years. How does the family feel about her this day?
They have no ill will towards her. They actually feel sorry for her because during the trial it came out that she had a very rough life. Now she is sentenced to the year 2000, but we've been told that she is a model prisoner. We did try and get an interview with her, but at this time she's not ready to do that. But she's scheduled to be released on parole in May.
Little Michaela is so cute, and she looks so much like her mom. She really does. She's very,
Sweetheart.
very
Absolute
cute.
lovable child.
Of course, we all remember when this story happened, the search for Michaela. Were there changes in the hospital procedure after this?
I actually spoke with the hospital, and they said during that time they were in the process of installing an electronic surveillance, and that has now been put in, and it was actually happening while this all happened.
It was good to see her. She's
Yes,
so
sweetheart.
cute. All right,
Looks
thanks,
like
Laura.
Uncle Tim was the most loved policeman in the state, doesn't it? Yeah? Wow.
Deservedly so.
Yeah, well, it turned out to be another great day today on the slab.